Hi, everyone. This is Laura Columbus from Attuned Yoga Wellness, and it is Wednesday, January 30th, and we are approaching the last day of the month. And it kind of feels like this month has been going on forever. But what is interesting is that in the moment, um, we are deep, deep, deep in Vata season. So, Ayurvedically speaking, Vata season, which is the winter, really fall into winter, really late summer into winter. Um, it's the season of air and space. And when we are in the season of air and space, things are more mobile, they move quicker, they dry out, they are potentially more overwhelming, and um, there's a certain sense of excitement. And so to I want to use this frame as a way to talk about those intentions and really anything you set yourself up for in the beginning of the year. I know a lot of people set intentions, they make resolutions, they make decisions about how they're going to approach the year. And then January feels like the longest month ever. And I've seen some really funny jokes about January being like 3 months long. I feel like January has been pretty productive for me. However, I tend to be less Vata, air and space, and more earth, water, fire. And so I tend to be more grounded. So those of us that do have more of that earth and water in us, Vata season is not going to affect us in the same way. There's a sense of potentially an excitement in this season, whereas the people who are primarily air and space, um, this time of year can be filled with anxiety, and you can't sleep, and you can't stop thinking, and your brain won't shut off, and you feel anxious all the time, and you can't stop moving, and you talk really fast, and you forget words, and you drop things, and it manifests in all sorts of different ways. So this is really an invitation, once again, as always, to take note and to take notice, just to see how the outer world, how the rhythm of nature is affecting you. It does affect you, even if you don't pay attention to it, even if you don't consider it, even if you don't think about it. But when you start to pay attention to it, it gives you the opportunity to sort of like peer in a little bit deeper to see how you are actually having your experience and how the outer world does affect you. And so if you are having trouble sticking to those things that you chose to, set intentions around, the things that you were like a big yes to, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh no, I made the wrong choice, or oh, I think I needed to do something else, or you just forgot, or it just didn't work out in some way. I'm not giving you an excuse to not honor your commitments. That's not what I'm doing here. And I do want you to be in integrity, especially with yourself. I also want you to realize you're human, and things shift and they change and they churn, and you have to give yourself space to receive what's present and what's at hand and what you need in the moment. And that is not always what you thought it was on January 1st. And so here's a moment to really take pause and to reconnect to yourself and to notice how you are feeling. And is this season affecting you in that way? Have you been thrown off course? Sometimes I describe this season as if you've ever seen sort of leaves tornado up on the sidewalk when the wind picks up. That's a lot of how this season feels in the body. And so this is really an invitation for like, how are you going to settle? How are you going to ground? How are you going to presence yourself so that you are really clear in your moments about what you need? And we don't always like to need. So the invitation in and of itself is a challenge, right? So when we really turn inward and start to see, okay, how is this season affecting me? What's going on? How can I engage the world? How can I engage my own body and my breath and my experience so that I can really focus and connect to myself and support myself, and then move through my life in a way that feels, supported and connected and nourished and strong and vibrant. So this requires discernment. This requires that moment of turning inward and really saying, what do I need right now? And discernment sits right about here in your third eye center. Okay. This is the energy center of discernment. And sometimes it helps to sort of just like do this little tap right here so that you can feel that space. And, if you don't already feel it, because a lot of times I don't need to tap it, I can just feel into it, but that's years and years of practice and years of presencing myself to that space in my body. There's an energetic center. And so when we presence ourselves in that way, when we go to that place, we get the full wisdom, the wisdom of not just, our intellect and our brain, but the wisdom of the body, the wisdom of the cells, the wisdom of the heart, the wisdom of our gut, the wisdom of all the information that is moving through our systems. And so that space of discernment, it's a really great place to go to, especially right now, especially if you need more focus, especially if you need to feel a little bit more grounded and connected and supported. So we want to look for the ways we can energetically support ourselves through using what we already have. So feel your sitting bones root, feel the body settle. And obviously in this time, we're always going to go to that grounding energy in the pelvis because we want to find our roots. And if you think, so again, Vata, air and space, it's all that energy sort of up here and out, whereas earth and water tend to move down. So it's that cohesiveness, so that connection. We are going to move into that season too. We'll be moving into Kapha season, which is water and earth. But I want you to feel right now that cohesiveness in your pelvis so that you feel grounded, you feel stable, you feel rooted. And as you root, take an inhale and lift up through the spine. Feel that lift through the back of your skull. You can even take your fingers to the back of your head so that you get that lift through the front of the body. And you can start to gently close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes with you. Take your time. You don't have to rush to close your eyes. Sometimes people feel very confronted when they have to close their eyes. And if you prefer to meditate with your eyes closed, by all means, do so. And as you start to follow your breath inward and the eyes begin to soften, maybe your lids get a little bit heavier, and it's almost like you are just being invited into the richness that you hold here in your own presence. And then the wind can whirl around us. There are parts of this country today that are, way into the negative numbers. I heard someplace was like negative 62 degrees this morning, which is totally insane. You can't go outside without getting frostbite. So I want you to breathe into your pelvis. I want you to breathe into the reality that the air is moving, that the air is moving through space. And air is always moving through space, just like your breath is always moving through your body, through your lungs, oxygenating your blood, feeding that oxygenated blood into your brain and into your muscles and into your bones and into your tissue. It is nourishing you. It is replenishing you. You need the air and space. You want it, but we want it in balance so that we don't feel overwhelmed. We don't feel disconnected from ourselves or unfocused. We don't feel like we are moving in a million different directions. Can we come back to this place of the heart? Can we come back to the presence of the pelvis? And then can we go to that space of the third eye? And you don't have to bring your fingertips back there, although if you would like to, you may. Just feel into that space. So we are discerning, we are looking into our experience. We are noticing what is taking form, what is taking shape. We are acknowledging anything that is showing itself to us, anything that's maybe come up for us, any obstacles that have potentially been put in our way to show us who we are and what we need and what we want. So we start to notice, how are things shaping up? How are we moving through the year? And is there something you want to shift? Is there something that you feel disconnected from that you want to connect more deeply to? Maybe someone. Do you want more clarity around how you move through your life in relationship? Do you want to focus more of your attention on maybe just a hobby or something that you love to do that you haven't been able to do? Is there a place that you can put your heart? Where do you want to place your attention? And this, we've been focusing on this pretty much all month. Where are we going to place ourselves? How are we going to really presence ourselves in our lives so that we are optimizing our experience? Because every moment, breath by breath, we don't get to choose everything that occurs and happens, but we do often get to choose how we use our time. And sometimes we don't. And so honoring where we can step in, where we can navigate, where we can really decide how we are going to move through our life. And is that air and space, is it knocking you over? Is it moving you out of connection? Is it taking you off that path that you want to be on? And can you just remind yourself, can you bring yourself back? Can you bring yourself back to the pulsation of your breath? Can you feel into that rise and fall? Can you soften in to receive yourself? Do you feel like your body is sort of like that you are sort of flying out of your own skin and flying out of your body while you sit here? And can you breathe again? And can you settle down? It is so hard for some of us to sit. It is so hard for some of us to simply be present to what's moving through our mind. And I know so often, meditation, the conversation around meditation is about quieting the mind. And to a certain extent, it is about quieting maybe that laundry list of things that you're doing. But can you move through the laundry list into those deeper layers of conversation? Because the thoughts that are floating through your mind, they are telling you something. So we want to acknowledge them. We don't want to think that they're bad. Your thoughts aren't bad. Your thoughts are information. Your thoughts are potentially the wisdom of your cells trying to speak to you. And so I want you to breathe in to this fullness, to this experience. Breathe into your body. If you can't get past the list of things that you need to do later, or the things you need to do when you stop listening to me, can you breathe into those thoughts, and can you just say, okay, thank you. I'm gonna put you on a shelf for a second. I'm gonna see if I can go a little deeper. Can you sit with yourself and the conversation that is happening on the inside? And then can you use the information you receive to really support yourself, to honor how you move through the world? Draw your hands into prayer in front of your heart. Just sealing any intentions you're holding here, honoring the intentions, honoring what you need, honoring the fluctuations, and honoring maybe those ways that maybe you've knocked yourself off kilter, or the direction has shifted. And was it because of the season, or was it because it's really not right that it needs to shift? It's not going to really support you in the way you thought. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale completely. Gently bowing your head to your heart, and to your body, to your mind, to everything that you hold here. Then go ahead and release your hands and open your eyes. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will try to get back in here sometime this week. Um, and happy almost February. Okay. Have a great day. Bye.